Hello students, in chapter 4 motion in plane, today we will see uniform circular motion. Uniform circular motion, first of all will define this. If any of the object will travel in a circular path with constant speed, that means it is traveling with covering equal distance in equal interval of time. In such situation, this motion is called uniform circular motion. Here we have mentioned here, that is the constant speed. What we have mentioned? Constant speed. That means if any object or any particle is moving in this circular path, so when it is moving in circular path, obviously it is two-dimension motion. Okay, because to locate each and every point in this circular path we require two coordinates, so it will be two-dimension motion. It is in plane. And second thing that we are calling here, the speed is constant. That means at each and every point you can see that the object is traveling with the constant speed. That means cover equal distance in equal interval of time. But we are not saying here the velocity is constant, because at each and every point you will see that in this path the velocity is given by the tangent drawn. The velocity is given by the tangent drawn at that point. If I talk about here, this is the point A, point B, point C. You can see that if the object is moving here in the anti-clockwise direction in this way, so what you will find here, you will find that at point A the velocity is, the direction of the velocity is here tangent to the point A, tangent to this circle at point A, here tangent to the circle at point B, tangent to the circle at point C. So this way you will find that the direction of the velocity is continuously changing, and so that the velocity will be not constant. The magnitude of the velocity is constant, you can say, but magnitude of the velocity, that means simply it is a speed only, and the direction is changing, so that the velocity is also changing, because velocity involved direction as well as the magnitude. It is a vector quantity here. Okay, so this type of motion, when an object is traveling in a circular path with constant speed, then the motion is called uniform circular motion. So after that we will see some terms related to the circular motion. In this circular motion, you will find that suppose an object is traveling from point A to point B, and this is the circular path. If you see this circular path, this will be the center of this circular path. Okay, so the angle subtended here, you will see that if I say this is point A, so the journey started here at point A, that means t is equal to 0 here. Okay, the time is 0. So from this point A the journey started at point B, the object reached, and suppose the time is here, you can say del t, a very small time here, del t. Okay, that means in del t time it is covering here. Okay, and the angle subtended here is theta. At the center of this circular path the angle subtended is theta here. Okay, so this theta is called angular displacement. What it is called? Angular displacement. Means how much angle it is displaced. Angular displacement, okay, is, you can see that if we talk about the angular displacement, this is angle theta, or you can say simply angle subtended by any object which is doing circular motion or which is in circular motion at the center of the circular path is called the angular displacement, and denoted with the letter theta here. Okay, as I consider the time is very less, that is del t time, very short time, so I am just considering here angle is also very less, that is del theta. The angle is very less, that is del theta. But if we talk about the linear displacement, you can see that this linear displacement is the length of the arc AB, and will denote this with the letter L here. The linear displacement is from A to B. The length of the arc AB is the linear displacement, and del theta is the angular displacement here. Okay. Angle we are measuring here in radian. Always we will measure the angle in radian. We will not measure in degree. If it is given in degree, you have to change this into radian. Already you have learned how to change from degree to radian or from radian to degree in chapter 2. Okay. Now you will see that after that we will define the angular velocity. Angular velocity, the term associated with this uniform circular motion, angular velocity, and it is denoted with the letter omega. This we will not read W, it is omega. Okay, the letter omega will represent the angular velocity here. So as we know, the velocity is equal to displacement upon time, but here we are talking about the angular velocity. So the angular velocity must be equal to angular velocity, that must be equal to angular displacement upon time. Okay, so this is time here. That means this omega is equal to angular displacement is del theta. In what time it is? Del t time. We say that omega is equal to del theta upon del t. Suppose for an instant we'll measure this angular velocity, or you can say simply instantaneous angular velocity if we'll measure. So for an instant, if we are checking here, this del t is so small. This del t is so small, it tends to 0. If it is tends to 0, we can just write this del theta upon del t as d theta upon dt. So this is also, you can say simply here, the omega is equal to d theta upon dt. Okay, so here you will find that the angular velocity is equal to d theta upon dt. Now come to the another terms. If we'll see the time period, what it is? Time period. We know already, and we have learned many times that what is the time period. Time period is the time taken for the one revolution for the object which is doing circular motion. Okay, so suppose this object, as I said to you, started from point A, and if it is completing one revolution and come again to point A. Okay, so at this time, what angle subtended by the object? So what angle at the center subtended by the object? So at the center you will see that the complete angle would be there, and this complete angle is what? This is del theta is now equal to 360 degree. So del theta is equal to 360 degree, and this del t is called as time period. Del t is called as time period here. Okay, so what you will see in this case, time period, that means a time taken for the object, a time, or you can say the duration in which the object is completing one revolution while doing uniform circular motion. So that is called the time period. Okay, and denoted with the letter T, capital T. So just put the value here. For a complete revolution, or you can say for a time period T, what angle is subtended here? So this is the angle T is subtended here, but as I already mentioned to you, the theta we are measuring in radian. So instead of 360 we will write what? 2 pi. Instead of 360 we will write 2 pi, because 360 degree is equal to 2 pi radian here. So here we will write 2 pi radian. So here another formula will come, that omega is equal to what? The omega is equal to 2 pi upon t, or you can say that angular velocity is equal to 2 pi upon time period. Angular velocity is equal to 2 pi upon time period. This angular velocity is sometimes called the angular frequency also. Why it is called, we'll see in the next derivation. So we have seen here the angular displacement is del theta and it is measured in radian. Angular velocity del w, not w actually, del omega, that is equal to del theta upon del t, or we can write this as 2 pi upon t, and it is measured in radian per second. The SI unit of angular velocity is radian per second here. Okay. Time period, that is time taken to complete one revolution, representing with the letter capital T and measure in second. Okay. After that, we'll see frequency. Frequency is what? The number of revolution in 1 second. That means how many time that object will revolve or take round, that in 1 second is called as the frequency, and it is denoted with the this letter nu. This is we call as nu. Okay, the letter is called nu. And the SI unit of the frequency is hertz. This is hertz, or simply we can denote this with Hz. Okay, so the SI unit is hertz. Now after that we'll see the relation between time period and frequency. So to find out the relation between time period and frequency, as we already know here, the definition of time period and the definition of frequency. The time period is time taken to complete one revolution in t second. Time taken to complete one revolution, that is t second. Okay. So here we will say that number of revolution. If we'll say here that number of revolution in 1 second, number of revolution in 1 second, this is equal to nu. Okay, that means what you can say, in 1 second the number of revolution is nu. If we just take here in t second, how many time it is revolved? One time. The object is how many time it is revolved? It is revolving one time. That means it is taken one revolution only. So in t second it is one revolution. In t seconds, one revolution. So in 1 second, how many revolution would be there? That is, we can say 1 upon t revolution would be there. Okay, what we can say, in t second, if one revolution is there, so in 1 second 1 upon t revolution would be there. But this 1 upon t revolution is what actually we call this as nu. The number of revolution take place in 1 second, we are calling this as nu. So the relation between the time period and nu, frequency, is what? The frequency is reciprocal of time period, or simply you can say that frequency is, or the time period is reciprocal of frequency. Okay, both are reciprocal of each other, you can say that. Okay, so this nu is equal to 1 upon t, and t we are measuring here in second. So another unit of frequency we can write here, this is per second. Another unit of frequency is what? That is per second, or you can say simply hertz is equal to what? That is per second. The SI unit of frequency we already mentioned here, it is hertz, but we can say this as a per second also. So either you can write per second or you can write hertz, no problem. In the SI unit of this frequency, you can write any one. Okay, so this is the relation between the time period and frequency, both are reciprocal of each other. relation between angular velocity and frequency. We know that frequency is equal to 1 upon time period, or nu is equal to 1 upon t. Since angular velocity is 2 pi upon t, we are writing this angular velocity as, first of all, that is del theta upon del t, or we can write this as 2 pi upon t here. Okay, so the omega is equal to 2 pi upon t. Now look at here, from this formula, in place of 1 upon t, we can put nu here. So omega is equal to 2 pi into 1 upon t, or you can say the omega is equal to 2 pi. This 1 upon t is nu here. Okay, so omega is equal to 2 pi nu. Here nu is the frequency. I said to you, this is omega, which is equal to angular velocity, and sometimes we call this as angular frequency also. Why we are calling this angular frequency? Because it is expressed in terms of frequency here, 2 pi nu. Okay, so this way, this is the relation between the angular velocity and the linear frequency. Frequency, simply you can say, not linear frequency, angular velocity and frequency here. Okay, now you will see that next we will see the relation between linear velocity and angular velocity. We will see the relation between linear velocity and angular velocity. Okay, for this, as you are looking here in the figure, in this figure we can say here the object started from point A. After this object started from point A at time t. Then after some time t plus del t, it reaches to point B. It is revolving in this circular path, and when it goes from A to B, the linear displacement is del L and the angular displacement is del theta, and the radius of this circular path is r. So we can say here that angle is equal to arc upon radius, or angle is del theta. The arc, which is equal to AB here, and that is equal to del L. So del L is the arc and the radius is r here. That means we can put this value del theta as equal to del L upon r here. Okay, now you will see in this case, when we talking about the relation between linear velocity and angular velocity, we can say simply here, this is omega, which is equal to del theta upon del t. Now in place of del theta, we'll put this value del L upon r. So it is del L upon r upon del t. Now omega is equal to del L upon del t multiply with 1 upon r. This del L upon del t is the linear displacement upon time. Linear displacement upon time is the linear velocity. So this is omega is equal to v, this linear velocity. That means del L upon del t, which is equal to v. This is equal to linear velocity here. So we'll put linear velocity, and this is multiplied by 1 upon r. So we can say that angular velocity is equal to what here? The angular velocity is v upon r. That means the linear velocity upon radius. Angular velocity is linear velocity upon radius, or we can say linear velocity is equal to angular velocity multiplied by r. So both the relation we can use as required. Okay. So this is the relation between linear velocity and angular velocity, and we have derived the relation between angular velocity and frequency also. When we are talking about the uniform circular motion, we have already defined that an object tracing the path, circular path, and moving with the constant speed is called in uniform circular motion. That means the speed is constant, but continuously the direction is changing, and that's why the velocity keep changing. Okay, because the velocity keep changing, that means the direction of velocity will change, so obviously the acceleration will produce, but this acceleration will be constant because all the time the direction of the velocity will be towards the tangent of that point. Okay, so here that means this motion, the uniform circular motion, can be called as uniformly accelerated motion. That means the acceleration which is working in this object which is undergoing uniform circular motion is called centripetal acceleration. So the centripetal acceleration is the acceleration produced on the object which is undergoing uniform circular motion. Here we will derive now the formula for the centripetal acceleration. For that we are considering here that an object, or you can say simply a particle of mass m, moving in this circular path with constant speed v at a time t. The particle is at point A. After some time t plus del t, the particle reached to the point B, subtending angle del theta at the center of the circular path, and you can see that the position vector of point A, or the position A, is r1, position vector of B is r2, which is OA, that is equal to OB in magnitude because both are the radii of the same circle. So R1 and R2, these two position vectors are different in direction, but in magnitude both will be equal. So here I have written that magnitude of the OA and OB, or simply you can say position vector R1 and R2, both are equal to R here. Now you will see that the angular displacement, this angular displacement, if you see, this is equal to what? It is equal to del theta. Okay, so angular displacement is del theta here. If we talk about the angular velocity, so the angular velocity is w omega, that is equal to del theta upon del t, as it is mentioned here. The angular displacement is del theta in del t time, so the angular velocity is omega, that is equal to del theta upon del t here. Okay, now you will see that the direction of the velocity at point A is v1, which is directed along AC, and v1 is represented here by this side CD. CD length is representing the magnitude of the velocity v1, and v2 at point B, the velocity is v2, which is working along BE here. Okay, and this v2, the magnitude of v2 is represented with the CE here. You can see that this length of the line segment CE is representing the magnitude of v2. But we know that, so in uniform circular motion, we know that the speed is constant. That's why the magnitude of V1 is equal to magnitude of V2 here, and commonly we can write this as V here. Okay. Now after that you will see this is the point C where these two tangents, that means the V1 and V2 both are inclined, and this is the point C where they are joining, the two tangents are joining, these two tangents which are representing velocity V1 and V2. Okay. And in class 10th you have learned this thing, a theorem is there, that is the angle between two tangent is supplementary. The angle between the two tangent is supplementary to the angle subtended by the line segment joining the point of contact at the center. So according to this theorem, you know that this is del theta, so this angle must be 180 minus del theta. Look at here, which angle? This angle C, because with both these two angles, the sum of these two angles is equal to 180 degree as it is stated in the theorem. Okay, so if it is del theta, this angle will be 180 minus del theta. Now you will see here, this angle plus this angle, this is forming the linear pair. These two angles are forming here the linear pair, and that's why this is, if it is 180 minus del theta, that means this must be del theta here. Okay, so this is also del theta. By that theorem we have proven here. Okay, now you will see this, we have joined this line ED, and now we can apply here that in triangle CDE, you can see that in triangle CDE, this angle is del theta, already we have proven. Okay, and we know that just by the triangular rule of addition, we know that this is CE, look at here, it is CE, this is CD, so I am just writing CD plus DE. I am writing here CD plus DE is equal to CE here. This is equal to CE by the triangular rule of addition. Now CD is what? It is V1 plus DE, that we don't know. Okay, and CE is what here? It is V2. That means the DE is equal to V2 minus V1, or we can write this as del V. Now DE is equal to what? DE is equal to del E here. Okay, or if you just take the magnitude, what you can write? DE is equal to del V, you can write here. Okay, we are taking the magnitude only. Now one more thing we know here, that is angle is equal to arc upon radius. Okay, now look at here, just keeping C as center or assuming C as center, if we draw a circle, that circle will pass through D and E, because CD and CE both are equal in magnitude, because V1 and V2 both are equal in magnitude, which is equal to V. CD is equal to V1 and CE is equal to V2. Already we have mentioned here, and equal to V. So in place of this CD and CE, these are the radius. What I am telling to you, just consider C as center and draw a circle assuming CD as radius, so that circle will pass through the E also in this way, okay, this way. So at that time this DE is the arc and del theta is the angle here. So here del theta is the angle and the arc is DE here, okay, and this DE, and the radius is what? Radius is either you can write CD or you can write CE. Both are the radii of the same circle. So I am just writing here CD, and we know that DE just now we have calculated, it is equal to del V, and we have calculated this CE and CD both the magnitude, that is equal to V. So I am writing this as V here. That means del theta is equal to del V upon V, and this we will write as equation 1. Okay. Now we know that this angular velocity omega is equal to del theta. So del theta is equal to del V upon V. This is equation 1. Now you will see that the angular velocity omega is equal to del theta upon del t. We'll just put the value of del theta from equation 1. This is del V upon V and it is 1 upon del t. Now you will see that omega, this is del V upon del t and it is 1 upon V here. This del V upon del t, change in velocity with respect to time. This is equal to what? This is equal to acceleration, and this acceleration we call as AC, because this acceleration is the acceleration produced during the uniform circular motion, okay, and it is equal to V. That means the AC, this acceleration is equal to V omega. Here this is one formula of the centripetal acceleration. The acceleration is equal to V omega. Now we can put the value of omega also, that is already we have derived. So it is V and omega is the V upon R. So we can write this as V square upon R. We can write this as V square upon R here. Okay. So the centripetal acceleration can be given by this also, that is equal to V square upon R. Or you can write in place of V, you can write what? Omega R. So that AC is equal to this V is now omega R. So it is omega square R. We can write in this way also the centripetal acceleration. So we have three formulae for the centripetal acceleration, that is AC equal to V omega, that AC equal to V square upon R, and the AC equal to omega square R. One more thing you know very well about the centripetal force. The centripetal force is what? It is equal to mass into acceleration, mass into centripetal acceleration. So the centripetal force F can be given as mass into centripetal acceleration, which is equal to V square upon R. So this is the centripetal force which is working towards the center. Centripetal acceleration is also working towards the center. How it is working towards the center? How will recognize the direction or determine the direction? For that you will see here, if this del t time, if just del t time is 0, or you can say means tends to 0, not 0, it is tends to 0. So del theta is also 0 or tends to 0. That means if del theta will be 0, you can see that this line will be just closing to this line. That means this tangent will be very close to this tangent or parallel to this tangent. So both the tangents are parallel, and you can see that the this distance DE will be just perpendicular to these two lines. These two lines means CD and CE. So perpendicular to this line. So any line which is perpendicular to the tangent, that will indicate the direction of the radius, or it will be along the radius. So the centripetal acceleration is working along the radius towards the center. This way we will determine the direction of the centripetal acceleration. So this is the end of this chapter, chapter 4. Okay, now after that we will do some question based on this in the next video.